Scanning criminal records requires a certain type of handling and processing, and if you can't find the right vendor that will do that, then you may be outside the bounds of the FBI CJIS security policy. CJIS stands for Criminal Justice Information Services, and that's an FBI division that has the objective of providing information to other law enforcement agencies so they can use that information to protect the citizens of their local areas and the United States. In a nutshell, the FBI CJIS division aggregates and organizes criminal justice information, also known as CJI, so that national, state, and local law enforcement agencies and other intelligence agencies can quickly access and use this information. The types of records involved are any type of data that these agencies can use to fulfill their missions. And some of the types of records include biometric data, identity history data, biographic data, property data, and also case and incident history. That's not every type of record possible, but those are some examples that are included in the CJIS security policy. Now, if you actually go in and read the security policy and think this is pretty overwhelming, it can get pretty complex. But at a high level, criminal justice information, CJI, are records that contain criminal data. Now, the FBI CJIS security policy has particular methodologies, processes, and ways to handle these records digitally, physically, and so on, that if you want to have access to the information, you need to follow the guidelines of the security policy. Some of the topics included in the security policy are security awareness training, incident response, access control, media and physical protection, audits, personnel security, and of course more. Those are some highlights. And again, the policy covers different ways, different methods that criminal justice information can be handled, stored, transmitted, basically anything involved with dealing with criminal justice information, the security policy will cover. And it's not just for the law enforcement agencies themselves, but vendors they work with. So going back to if you want to have your records scanned by a scanning company, they need to follow these processes as well if you want to continue accessing the FBI CJIS database. Interestingly enough, there aren't any actual penalties for not following the security policy, but if you don't follow them and you're audited by the FBI and they look at it and say you're not following the procedures we set out in our security policy, then you won't have access to that national CJIS database. So the real penalty is just not having access to that information, which will limit your agency and the information they can gather about criminals in your area and of course nationwide. Now, if you're looking for a scanning company to partner with to scan your records, there are a couple ways you can find out if they're able to handle these records properly. The first of which is you go to the CJIS database and just find, are they a CJIS listed vendor? If they've been through the process and they're a CJIS listed vendor in the portal, in the CJIS portal, then you know that they are following the CJIS security policy and can handle your records. If you're scanning criminal records, it's very sensitive data. It makes sense to work with a company that knows how to handle them properly and is following the highest level of security policy set by the FBI to handle this type of data. It's not absolutely required. Of course, it's up to you who you choose. But if you think about this, you choose a scanning partner that's not CJIS listed, and then something happens, the information gets out or it's just not handled properly, whatever happens, and it comes back to you choosing a non-CJIS listed company versus a CJIS listed company, it's not going to look too good if you just decided to go with the one that was not properly vetted and confirmed to be able to handle these records based on the FBI CJIS security policy. And of course, there are many other certifications, qualifications that companies can have to handle sensitive data, like being SOC audited or HIPAA compliant and other things like that. But it's always nice to have that little bit extra piece of confirmation. These are criminal records specifically. This company knows how to handle them, and I can work with them feeling comfortable that they're working with my criminal records. Scanning criminal records can be daunting because of course you're concerned how they're going to be handled, not just how you're handling them, but if you have to have a company scan them for you, how they're going to handle them. You can give yourself a nice warm and fuzzy by looking up a CJIS listed vendor, choosing them, and knowing that they're working with your records, storing, transmitting, and processing them properly based on the FBI CJIS security policy. For more information about choosing a scanning company, go ahead and click right here. This is the first in a series of 3 videos. Each one has 5 questions you can ask a potential scanning vendor. It'll set you up to ask the right questions to get a better feeling about who you're going to work with. If you want to reach out to us about CJIS scanning or about scanning in general, not necessarily CJIS related, go ahead and hit the link that I'm going to put in the comments below. I'll pin it up. And thank you for watching.